For one. The air inside the abandoned hangar was thick with dust, carrying the faint metallic tang of rusted machinery and old fuel. Sunlight slanted through broken windows, scattering across the cracked concrete floors where forgotten crates and tarps lay in disarray. She moved slowly, methodically, sweeping the debris with the rhythm of someone used to routine, someone invisible. Her brown eyes, calm and steady, scanned the empty space, but behind them simmered a storm no one could see. For 8 years, she had worn this mask like a second skin. By day, she was a quiet, unassuming janitor, quietly dusting plaques, mopping floors, emptying trash bins. By night, memories of speed, altitude, and the roar of fighter engines haunted her like ghosts. She remembered the thrill of the cockpit, the wind whipping across the fuselage, the sharp focus demanded when the world was reduced to instruments and sky. She had been one of the best, but a mistake, a scandal, a tragedy. She never fully admitted why she had disappeared. Now, that past existed only in the shadows of her mind. She paused at the edge of a crumpled tarp, brushing a lock of hair from her face. Somewhere deep in the hangar, a faded mural of fighter jets and medals stared down, mocking her secrecy. A former colleague, now a retired pilot, had once walked by and nodded politely, oblivious. They never guessed the truth, that beneath the humble uniform and the quiet demeanor, a warrior slept, waiting. Each sweep of her broom was almost ceremonial, a rhythm that grounded her, yet reminded her of the freedom she had traded for anonymity. Outside, a gust of wind rattled the cracked windows, carrying the distant, haunting echo of engines from the active airfield beyond. She froze, listening, feeling that familiar pull, that ache in her chest for the sky she had abandoned. Her grip tightened on the broom, knuckles white, and for a brief moment she allowed herself to imagine strapping into a cockpit again, letting the world shrink to a blur of clouds and speed. The fantasy was dangerous, but it was also irresistible. And deep down, she knew that sooner or later, the world would force her to choose, remain invisible, or rise and reclaim what she had buried for 8 long years. The alarm had been sudden, shrill, cutting through the morning calm like a blade. Red lights flashed across the hangar, and the chaos of shouted orders and frantic footsteps swallowed everything else. A veteran pilot had been injured during a routine drill, leaving a fighter jet on the tarmac with no one skilled enough to take control. Panic rippled through the crew. Every trained pilot was accounted for, every attempt to call someone else failing. She stood frozen for a heartbeat, broom still in hand, heart hammering. Then a lieutenant's voice pierced the chaos, trembling but desperate. You can fly, right?" The words hung in the air like a challenge. She shook her head, trying to protest, but the room's urgency was suffocating. Men in uniforms grabbed her by the arms, hauling her toward the jet with a forceful insistence that left no room for denial. Her pulse spiked as she approached the cockpit, its open canopy like a mouth waiting to swallow her whole. Every step echoed the years she had hidden, the life she had abandoned. Hands that once danced over controls with fluid precision now trembled slightly as she climbed in. The metal frame vibrated under her weight, humming with potential energy, alive with the roar she had missed for so long. The ground crew shouted instructions, words she barely registered because instinct had begun to take over. She fastened her harness, fingers brushing over switches and levers that she knew by memory, muscle memory deeper than any conscious thought. The throttle responded to her touch, engines coughing, then roaring to life, filling the hangar with a thunderous pulse. Fear twisted in her stomach, but it was sharpened, honed by adrenaline, and beneath it, something else, an undeniable exhilaration. The years of secrecy, of hiding, of pretending to be ordinary, had prepared her for this moment. She exhaled sharply and pushed forward, and the world outside blurred into a ribbon of motion, testing her, daring her to remember what it meant to soar. The sky opened above her in a vast, endless expanse, clouds stretching like frozen waves beneath the jet. Her body moved as if on autopilot, but every movement, every adjustment of the controls was precise, deliberate. The wind tore at the fuselage, buffeting her with the force of reality, yet she felt alive in a way that no mundane life on the ground could ever offer. Each maneuver, sharp turns, barrel rolls, precise climbs, was executed flawlessly, the instincts of a seasoned combat pilot returning as though no time had passed at all. Below, the base was a chaotic blur, alarms still blaring, crews shouting into radios she could barely hear. But up here, above the clouds, nothing else existed but the jet, the sky, and her. The danger was real, yes, but it sharpened her senses instead of dulling them. She could feel the injured pilot's life riding on her skill, and that weight made her focus absolute. A sharp dive, a corrective roll, and the jet steadied. The engine's roar now a familiar companion rather than a threat. When she finally returned to the tarmac, the ground seemed impossibly still after the fury of the sky. She climbed out of the cockpit, boots hitting the concrete with the quiet authority of someone who had reclaimed her true self. The hangar doors framed the stunned faces of the base personnel, mouths agape, eyes wide with disbelief. A slow, deliberate clap broke the silence, and then another, until the space echoed with recognition and awe. No one dared question her again. 8 years of secrecy had ended in minutes, and though her life on the ground remained the same in many ways, she knew one immutable truth. The sky had always been hers, and no one, not even the world below, could ever take it from her again.